And the next couple that I want to bring up, very, very special couple for Teresa and myself. And we counted the years. We've known each other for about 8 years. 8 years. And we've been through much, with them. Such a beautiful, beautiful couple. And Teresa and I can speak for my wife as well, that we are very humbled to be friends with them and to be journeying in life with them. And they're going through a season right now. And anyway, let's bring up Chris and Melissa Henderson. Everybody. Chris and Melissa Henderson, such a wonderful, wonderful couple. They came with experience in ministry as well. Very mature Christians. And so I love it how, you see a young couple, just kind of starting out their journey, and another couple that's been, walking with the Lord further down the road a little bit, So I'm excited that they're going to be here to share how the Lord has been moving in their life, even recently.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to share tonight. So for Melissa and I, we both fortunately came to know the Lord before we met each other. And, just there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of marriages that fail, and relationships that fail. And we both came from broken homes. And so we immediately knew, because we had found the Lord in our lives and had relationships with him, that we wanted to put him first with him in our marriage. And so when we were dating, we knew right away that we wanted to be with each other, pretty much the first day we met. And so I had just started going back to church before I met Melissa, and was blessed to go with her mom to New Hope in Farrington High School. But so 3 months into our our relationship, we started seeking counsel from the church. And we're like, how is there anything out there that exists to help people like us in our relationship to be faithful and committed to the Lord? And they said the only thing we have is a 10-week premarriage counseling class. So we signed up. And I don't know, those of you here that may know Mark and Sandy Brecky, they often sit over here. Well, they were the ones that led that class, and it was called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And it was fantastic. And it really showed us the value and importance of putting God first in our marriage. So.
Yeah, I find it so interesting that we rooted in New Hope, Oahu, and the Lord took us literally around the world. And, the relationship that we individually have with the Lord, and then, of course, together, is progressive, right? Like, you start in one place, and God brings different people into your life and experiences into your life. And if you're paying attention, irregardless of whatever is going on, if you shift your perspective the right way, there's always fruit that you can get out of every situation. So, we've been put into some pretty stressful situations over the years. Chris was in the Army for 25 years, and in that time, it just seemed like whenever we would transition, that's when we would face the most challenges. And, the second question that Pastor Glenn had was, how rooted are you when the storms of life come? And as Chris and I were preparing for this, what we realized is, in our experience, it's the storms that really show you how rooted you really are. And by the grace of God, even if when those times come, you aren't as rooted as you would like to be, or you're not as rooted as you should be, you just repent and you say, I'm sorry, but guide me, show me what to do. And there was a season in our life when we were transitioning from Colorado back to Hawaii that we were just in a long season of waiting, of just of the unknown. It went on for like 8 months, 9 months. And in that time, Chris and I would argue a lot, like, well, what if this and what if that, and what if we do this and what if we do that, and are you going to retire, and if you retire, where are you going to work, and all these really big things happening at that time. And all we knew to do was to just surrender And in surrendering, God highlighted a few spiritual practices that we implemented into our life. And what we didn't know at the time is that doing those things and just being really spirit-led during that time in that surrender would really ground us when all hell broke loose. And when all that happened, even though everything was just going totally crazy in our life, like you couldn't even like write about what happened in the transition time. It was just absolutely insane. There was peace. Total peace, because we knew that we were right where we were supposed to be and that we were going where we were supposed to be going. And so the same applies to the season that Pastor Glenn talked about when he introduced us, and it's that since the end of last year, our life has been totally chaotic. My dad got a cancer diagnosis, and we just have been surviving. So my mom is here in Wahiawa, and my dad, we have a family home in Manoa. So Chris and I split our time. Half of the week we're with my mom, and half of the week we're with my dad, and that started in February. And right after that happened, his health just declined rapidly. So he's in and out of the hospital, and strokes and heart attacks and cancer, and just everything you could imagine was happening during that time. And navigating all of that, and then we lost him at the end of May. So it's just been a really crazy time, but you know, being rooted in our relationship with the Lord and having a body of believers in fellowship that we can come back to, some amazing things happened during that time that, again, you can't write about, like reconciliation in relationships. That was a real big one. Peace, just having total peace, knowing that we were right where we were supposed to be, even though all hell was breaking loose in our life again. We had the peace of God because we knew who was with us, and we know who God is, we know who we are, and we know who He is through us. And so He did some really incredible things during that time.
Chris and